Juries don't like liars. Trials are about credibility.
Blake Lively attempts to bribe the judges as well as the media, but she got exposed.
So I did. It's for sale in my Etsy store. I'll leave a link below if you're interested in the 1,000,000% t-shirt.
She just got caught in the biggest scandal of her career, and there's no way out. We're talking bribery, courtroom corruption, and a desperate cover-up that just blew up in her face.
If they find that she just was dishonest and lied on one single point of evidence in this case, in her testimony, the jury instruction says that they are allowed to discount her entire testimony.
She thought she could pay her way out of this mess. She thought she could use her celebrity status to rewrite reality. But now, the truth is out, and the fallout is about to be brutal.
It seems insurmountable. It seems like this case cannot be settled.
And here's the craziest part. There's a $100 million secret Blake is desperate to keep buried. But a judge just exposed everything, and now her entire career is on the line. It all started when Blake Lively sued Justin Baldoni, claiming he mistreated her on set. She swore she had undeniable proof and that the evidence would destroy his career.
Her testimony won't even count. And that is that's a harsh reality, because if the jury chooses not to listen to anything she has to say, she's the best witness in this case.
At first, the media ran with it, painting Blake as the victim and Baldoni as the villain. Headlines exploded. Hollywood insiders whispered that Baldoni's career might be over. But then, the case took a turn that no one expected. Blake's so-called evidence started falling apart.
So her testimony is super important in this case, and if you can show the jury that she's lied, juries don't like liars. Trials are about credibility.
A leaked video she claimed was proof of her being mistreated actually showed the opposite. Tesh was smiling, laughing, and fully participating. Legal experts started tearing her case apart, questioning whether she had lied under oath. And this is where things went from bad to worse. Instead of admitting defeat, Blake and her team did something that shocked the courtroom.
Trials are about the truth, and juries want the truth, and if you lie to them, they will hold it against you.
They tried to hide key evidence using a sneaky legal loophole called an attorney's eyes only AEO protection order. If granted, this would mean that only lawyers, not even the judge or the public, could see certain documents in the case. And let's be real, there's only one reason someone tries to hide evidence like this, because it's BAD.
And that's why you think, like you mentioned before, that you think this video is the most damning evidence that Baldoni has so far.
I think so, and it's better than worse.
The judge wasn't having it. He flat out rejected the request, reminding Blake's legal team that this was a public case and the truth had to come out. But that wasn't even the worst part, because right after this legal stunt failed, a shocking bombshell dropped. Someone close to the case claimed there were 100 million reasons why Blake Lively's team was desperate to keep this information buried. This is where things get really shady.
Number two, the SH has nothing to do with taking over the movie, even though she doesn't deny that she took over the movie. Of course, it'd be probably impossible to do that.
After Blake's legal team failed to block key evidence, people started asking what exactly were they trying to hide? That's when a source close to the case dropped the bomb. There were 100 million reasons why Blake's team was so desperate to bury this information. $100 million. That's not just some random number. That sounds a lot like hush money. And if that's true, this isn't just about a messy lawsuit anymore. This is full-blown courtroom corruption.
Okay, so I was able to read the amended complaint, which, by the way, it's very abnormal. It's almost 180 pages, 400 and some odd paragraphs. Complaints are not normally that long. But this one has to be for public consumption.
Think about it. Blake's case was falling apart. Her biggest piece of evidence got debunked. Legal experts were calling out her contradictions, and even the judge wasn't buying her excuses. She had one way out: make sure the most damaging information never sees the light of day. So what did her team do? First, they tried to block the evidence legally with that sneaky AEO protection order. When that failed, that's when the bribery accusations started flying. And it wasn't just whispers.
So it kind of makes them look like they're trying to take that video, now that it's out, and kind of spin it in a different direction.
Even the judge seemed to suspect something was off. He made it clear in court this case wasn't about justice anymore. It was a PR war. That's legal talk for "this is all Hollywood BS." But if the $100 million accusation is true, then Blake wasn't just trying to spin the media, she was trying to buoy the legal system.
Blake Lively had changed some stuff up in her amended complaint. Now she is describing that dancing scene very differently than she did in her first complaint.
And let's be real, celebrities have gotten away with worse. We've all seen powerful people pay their way out of scandals before, but Blake, she wasn't subtle about it.
Blake Lively made, and she lied in their minds about what occurred during that dancing scene because she wasn't aware that there was audio that would maybe explain and give some context to what was happening there. So of course she changes her in her amended complaint, she changes the view of it a little bit.
She got sloppy so sloppy that even her own PR team started panicking. And when your own PR firm wants to jump ship, you know you've screwed up big time. After the bribery accusations started gaining traction, Blake's team went into full-on panic mode. At this point, it was obvious her case wasn't holding up in court, and the public was starting to turn on her. So what did she do? She doubled down.
Really what they did is they said, well, yes, all of that happened, but when Baldoni was in that scene dancing, he wasn't in character. And she was being forced to act as though she loved him, which is, in my mind, just acting.
Instead of addressing the bribery claims, Blake's team suddenly introduced new evidence. Out of nowhere, they brought in 2 anonymous witnesses women who allegedly had their own stories about Baldoni. Sounds dramatic, right? But here's the catch: their names weren't even included in the lawsuit. If these witnesses were legit, why keep them anonymous?
And so rather than saying that these horrible things happened, now they're saying, well, no, yeah, but she didn't want that. And he wasn't really in character, and it wasn't within the context of what it should have been. So they're trying to skew it kind of a different way.
Legal experts immediately called this out as a PR stunt. It was way too convenient, especially since it happened right after the bribery claims started swirling. It looked like Blake's team was trying to distract from the real issue. And guess what? Even the media wasn't buying it. Multiple outlets refused to publish the allegations, saying they seemed suspicious and unverified. When even Hollywood's biggest news sites won't run your smear campaign, you know it's falling apart.
Number 4, the smear campaign designed by Baldoni's team was intended to derail the SH claims that Lively brought later in time, which seems a little odd to me.
But Blake wasn't done yet. She had one last move left. And this one? It was her biggest mistake yet.
Her bad press came in early August, and yet the complaint to the CRD didn't happen until December 20th.
With her lawsuit collapsing, her anonymous witnesses ignored, and the bribery claims gaining steam, Blake and her team made a desperate attempt to control the narrative. They tried to silence evidence again. This time, they fought to keep private text messages from being released in court. But not just any text Blake's messages with Taylor Swift.
I mean, it is weird how dumb they think the public is. Like, what do you mean? Why on earth would you be allowed to see every single message that someone has sent for 2.5 years, predating?
Yes, you heard that right. Suddenly, Taylor Swift's texts were being dragged into this mess. Legal analysts were confused. Why would Blake be so desperate to hide messages from a completely different celebrity? What could possibly be in there that was so damaging?
They're PR agents. What are you talking about? You're just looking for stuff so you can embarrass them, so you can know things about them. I would never in a million years be like, yeah, you can subpoena every single text message that I have with my sisters and my friends.
That's when people really started asking the big question: was Blake covering for more than just herself? Because let's be honest, Hollywood protects its own. We've seen it over and over again. But this time, even some of the most powerful people in the industry started distancing themselves. And if that wasn't proof enough, Blake's own PR team tried to walk away from the case.
Blake Lively's PR firm begging to be let go of the case. I think actually they may have the worst messages of all.
That's right. The people whose job it is to clean up celebrity scandals didn't even want to be associated with this. When even your crisis management team thinks you're a lost cause, you're done. And now, the final blow was about to land.
That's insane and that's crazy. And this is a reason why I think in the future people are just not going to work with her, because it's starting to add up. People are realizing that this is a pathology.
With every failed attempt to control the situation, Blake ran out of options. She couldn't block the evidence, she couldn't buy her way out, and her fake witnesses were ignored. So when she had no moves left, the judge stepped in and shut it all down.
It really is an impactful and powerful piece of evidence that's going to go against Lively, and that's why her deposition is not going to be pretty.
He flat out rejected her legal team's request to hide key documents, making it clear that this case was in the public interest. Translation? Blake can't bury this no matter how hard she tries.
Because jurors are very bright, especially collectively. When they're all together, they all come from varied backgrounds. They're the smartest people in the room collectively, and they generally get the right result.
At this point, her credibility is completely destroyed. The legal system isn't on her side, the media isn't on her side, and even Hollywood is backing away. If this case actually goes to trial, her entire testimony could be thrown out. Because remember, if a jury finds one single lie in her statements, they can disregard everything else she says. And Blake? She's been caught in more than one.
If they find that she just was dishonest and lied on one single point of evidence in this case, in her testimony, the jury instruction says that they are allowed to discount her entire testimony.
At this point, she has two choices. Settle the case in secret and hope the media moves on. Let this go to trial and watch her reputation completely self-destruct. Either way, her career might never recover.